we coming from the true space. We ain't entertaining neighbors, I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. What's good, y'all? My name is Open Book. This is my partner.
What's going on, guys? This is Harith. Welcome back to Truspace.
Yep, and this is your weekly horoscope. So let's get into these energies. Looking at Monday, the 12th of September, Moon Day. The moon is going to conjunct Chiron in Aries while making a sextile with Mars in Gemini. How do you think this is
So
going to
we're
play
gonna
out?
emotionally react to the energy of initiating new visions and imaginations, and be passionate and aggressive about these things. But all these things are coming up from the full moon in Pisces, where we realize how deeply our dreams and illusions and imagination are, and what the work that we require to do to get there. And then the moon in Aries is almost like you coming from the dream world, where you're putting all this energy into your dreams and illusions, or disbeliefs, or disillusions and things of that nature. Now you're ready to go to war and fight for these things. And then you got the sextile to Mars in Gemini. So whatever vision and imagination that you have right now in your brain and nervous system, based upon what you received from your subconscious mind, now you could go take action and will and go communicate about these things, and go put words into these things that you're experiencing the waxing of the full moon from full moon in Pisces. So it's almost like you gathering the
Mm-hmm.
information based upon now you're ready to take action on what you had, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely. After that full moon, I can really see if you're really making sense out of your subconscious mind, out of your influences that are around you. You know, you really get a sense of the reality that you're creating for yourself. And yeah, with the moon going to Aries, just like it'll probably give you that desire to go and really start things, to get things fixed up and stuff like that. But if you've been planting bad seeds, I can see a frustration aspect really coming up, and you're really being emotionally frustrated. Maybe you're looked at as selfish now, or going as personal desires, or your previous plan that you had that you thought you were going to get something from, but based off of it being bad seeds, nothing came from it. So now you're more of aggressive. Now you're clutching at more combative with people. But either way, with Chiron being there, it's going to show you what can be healed, or what needs to be healed. It's like poking at an old wound now. You know, so if you've been planting good seeds, now it's coming up showing you, okay, how you approach this old healing wound, and how you approach individuality and personal expression. So maybe now is the time to either heal. If you had planted good seeds from the full moon, and you get a real sense of the reality that you're creating for yourself. You're seeing your subconscious desire, you're emotionally responding to your subconscious desire, but at the same time, you're trying to ground them to the reality that you see, and how you can incorporate them on a day-to-day routine basis and actually make sense out of them. Then you'll get that boost. You'll get that energy to be like, oh, I can go and do this. Oh, I can go and make this a reality and possible. That extra vigor. And just like what you were saying, Mars and Gemini is going to give you those ideas. And Mars and Gemini is when it's like, oh, you feel that way, my nigga? It's like, oh, here's all of these ideas. Here's this argument, or here's this new discussion, this conversation that's going to propel you up there. And then what about Saturn and Aquarius making that sextile, as jumping into that sextile as well with the moon?
That's basically you realizing that you could take your part of society through associating yourself properly, and Saturn is retrograde, so it's obviously bringing all these opportunities for you to look over your associates, your ideas, the ways you want to be unique and original, and before it moves later on towards Pisces and things of that nature. So you gotta do in the work, collect the groups, the information that you require right now, and then with the obviously the sextile, the moon in
Mm-hmm.
Aries, you're obviously having all this energy for your individuality, so you could be seen as a part of this whole humanity and things of that nature. Like it's very hard to separate you passionate individuals and from humanity, because it's almost like what leads into it, because they are passionate about themselves, which, and when you put a group of passionate people about themselves, it lead to a group of passionate people about individuality, about humanity, about other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why Aquarius is 1-1. You know, it's like it's very, and why Uranus represents individuality and stuff like that. There's an aspect of individuality to it, but it's us as individuals coming together, us as individuals aligning with one another, and that's the main, energy of Aquarius. That plays out for sure. Um, Moon in Aries is making an in conjunction with the Sun in Virgo. How do you think that alignment's
So
gonna
as
hit?
you're reacting to all this energy to give birth to your visions and imagination through your head, your brain, and nervous system, the sun is right now obviously forcing us to take all our time and energy to practicalize, come up with routines and pattern, harvest, optimize what all the energy that we were started in Aries. So right now we're collecting so we could prepare ourselves to go towards the social science, since we just finished powering up our the lower portion of the zodiac wheel, dealing with the personal science. And if you ever hear Dolo talks about it, he calls them like the light below the horizon, Hebrews, because they deal with the lower part of the zodiac wheel. Aries, being passionate, aggressive, and then Taurus,
Mm-hmm.
fixated, stability, and then Gemini, they like to communicate and things of that nature, and then Cancer, your personal feelings and your comfort zone, and then obviously you got Leo, the beginning of the social science. So right now, the Sun conjunct in Moon in Aries, you don't want to be too passionate or too aggressive about certain vision and imagination, since the moon is all falling here, so it could be kind of a little bit selfish, which could upset your stomach, since the sun around in Virgo, your digestive system, and you're paying all this energy to digesting. And one of the things you would notice with your own biology, when you eat, and if you're attempting to have a lot of vision and imagination, just try to be very aggressive in your own brain and nervous system and trying to eat. You're gonna feel the inconjunctions. You're gonna feel the uncomfortable situations, because Virgo is ruled by Earth and it deals with being conservative, relaxing. This is why the Earth element deals with that relaxive aspect of your nervous system, while Aries deal with the aggressive aspect of your nervous system. So Moon and Aries, and then Sun and Virgo, that's you not knowing whether you want to give birth or you want to take your time and like harvest, basically. And you gotta learn how to bring these two together.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's like thinking about the seeds that need to be planted while you're harvesting. It's hard to do those two things at the same time. You can't really do them at the same time. You have to wait. But then it does put you in that position where you're assessing the harvest as it's going on. Maybe it'll help you understand what you would do in a new situation. But yeah, the in conjunction areas are gonna make you want to start something new, to be passionate about something. Well, Virgo is already trying to break down all of the other shit that you started and that you're into. So it could be like an overwhelming thing. Where it's like, oh, I don't need this, or I don't want this. This is kind of throwing me off. But it may be something that you really emotionally are connected with. So you have to figure out a way how to blend it, and always hold room for something new, even in during Virgo season, even when you're trying to be conservative and make sense out of things. It doesn't have to be go crazy with it, but always hold that space for something new, because it could help make everything make sense. That could be the missing piece that is preventing you from understanding things or making things work more efficiently or harmoniously. If you close it off, it'll never happen. That being said, you open up to it and you see it and it's about some bullshit. Kick that shit out. You don't need to waste no more time on that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And Mars and Gemini is making it in conjunction with the South Node and Scorpio.
So as you're yeah,
And
so
yeah.
like Mars and Gemini giving you all this energy to be passionate, aggressive about being flexible, adaptable, even indecisive with communication, being superficial, being seen as two-faced because you like to analyze and then you like to take an idea and then analyze it with other people so you get the broad way of thinking. This is what makes Geminis a jack of all trade and things of that nature. But that in conjunction with the South Node, this is you not understanding why do you like to communicate superficially? Why do you like to tap dance around certain topic when it comes to like in a very communicative way, being very smart with the intellect, and then it's in conjunction with the South Node. So you, as you're taking actions, as you saying all these things, you're realizing, oh, why do you do certain things when it comes to communication, and you get it's almost like the behind the scene realm when it comes to why do you speak the way you speak, and the energy and the way the
Absolutely.
energy you put in it and things of that nature. Since it's Mars, and then the South Node is Scorpio, and the archetype it rules Mars, and then you understand how Mars gets played out through your respiratory system and things of that nature. Because a lot of people don't realize how the accumulation in Scorpio, the eighth house, could lead into say respiratory problems, but a lot of people don't understand that because it's an in conjunction. But though it's the in conjunction that probably kill a lot of people. This is why people say a lot of people die in indirect ways. This is the in conjunction in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I can so see that because it's like the full moon energy, but not as intense yet. But it's like nigga, shit's about to happen, And if you're really, not in a place position, um, it could hit you, blindside. It's like, oh, I didn't know it was gonna be such a problem. I didn't know it was gonna lead to such an opposition. But just like what you were saying, yeah, that is so true. I feel like when the South Node was in Sag, we were so comfortable with being reckless. Like it was like and trying to see things from other people's perspectives and shit like that. We were reckless as hell. I feel like now with it in Scorpio, I'm seeing that we're so comfortable with being dark. Like all of these niggas is just so dark and so negative and so willing to accept things being hidden, so willing to accept all of this weird sexual shit. It's like we're all just kind of a little bit too familiar with that, or falling into a familiar pattern. But when comes into Gemini and we're talking, those words, those ideas spark that. Be like, wait, why do I think that's funny? Isn't that kind of dark? Isn't that thought kind of dark? Wait, isn't this kind of a little bit because of the conversation brings a whole lot of things out to the surface. You start realizing what it was that you were comfortable with being hidden just by Gemini throwing up a bunch of things, and then not to mention the Martian energy in it too. Adding a little bit more depth and aggression to the conversations and thoughts. It's bringing more aspects to it's like, why was I hiding this, or why am I vulnerable about this thing? Why when I had a conversation about that, why was I vulnerable about that? Why was I so dark? Why do I have this dark opinion about all of these things? I feel like in conjunction can bring up a lot of that, and you might not understand. It might make you feel awkward, and you're not even knowing why you feel awkward. But look out for that, because it may be that Gemini got something that was said is connected to feelings and emotions that you're holding deep down. And then the Mars in Gemini is also squaring the Sun in Virgo. How do you think this is hitting?
So obviously, as you're taking actions and you're so passionate about communicating and then gaining information, which is very important. This is what leading to higher education, Sagittarius. But it begins with early education of Gemini. You desire just communicating in your immediate surroundings, and then squaring the Sun in Virgo. As we're harvesting and then practicalizing and then figuring out a way to optimize all these things we gave birth to when it comes to uh, this Leo season that we were putting energy into. Uh, we kind of it's all this is a good square because they're sharing the Mercury rulership, and this will lead you into things as in as you're optimizing things that you have right now. Some of the things you're doing and some of these things you're learning could lead into more form of harvest. It's almost like a person who's getting ready to socialize, but he doesn't mind if he learns few more stuff before he goes out to socialize and things of that nature. And then they also this actually will create a lot of energy for you to break through when it comes to gaining new information because Virgo, and then Gemini combination, and then your Sun being in Virgo, and then Mars making you very passionate about communicating, and then the Sun you wanted to get details, information, focus. So that's a very good square, honestly. Yeah.
For sure. And there's a very masculine aspect to it because it's the sun and Mars. So I feel like it's a very push forward type action where the square may be rough, they may push you on the ground or some shit, and really jerk you or push you, but it's really gonna push you forward mentally. It may feel like, oh, this is kind of a bit too much, but it's information that you kind of need to learn how to handle and deal with. So you can't run away from that aspect, but just know that while you're dealing with that difficulty, that it's only going to push you forward. That you trying to that extra mental emphasis is really only going to push you forward, even if it is challenging, even if it is like kind of a roadblock. Know that it's pushing you forward.
Like in biology, when you breathe in, a lot of people just breathe in towards their respiratory system, but a lot of people don't understand how you go breathe in and then um, bring in your digestive system, make it more sixth house Virgo in, and that's the relationship. That's the square between Gemini and then Virgo. But uh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, never mind. I forgot.
Yeah, but that's interesting. That's facts. It does. Like the diaphragm is supposed to expand and touch all the way down to your diaphragm or something like that. So that makes absolute sense. That's interesting. I swear your lungs is like your second largest organ, like second to like your
Oh,
skin is like the largest
and
organ.
basically, what I want to say, I just remember it. Basically, it deals with a lot of people don't understand how
Hmm.
respiratory issues could deal to digestive issues, and how digestive issues could lead into respiratory issues and things of that nature. For example, Elijah Muhammad was heavily into milk and things of that nature, dealing with mucus forming food, which had
Yeah.
tackled his digestive system. But the way he died, it dealt with respiratory issues, heart issues, and things of that nature. And this is why a lot of people would notice inflammation within these organs, the digestive and the respiratories. They're always connected to that square. It's very hard to separate them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. I drank milk every day growing up, and I had asthma growing up. I had to take inhalers. I had respiratory problems. I had to take a whole bunch of tests and stuff like that. Stop drinking milk every day. No, no more asthma. No more puffers. No more all of that stuff. So, you're right about that.
Uh,
The connection between the digestion and the respiratory shit. Absolutely. And then Mercury in Libra is going into retrograde, opposing Jupiter in Aries. How do you think this is gonna alignment's
so
gonna hit?
Jupiter in Aries wants to put all this energy into going on a journey and extracting knowledge and wisdom when it comes to whatever vision and imagination that we could see for our individuality. This is our self learning about who we are, and this opposition to Mercury in Libra retrograde. Mercury in Libra is bringing all form of communications, ways of networking with your in your social life, so you could bring in more people and show them this new form of individuality that you've been building energy in. But like it deals with the Jupiter and Aries deal with the fire element, so it's all about separation, and it's an opposition to it. So it's very hard for you to bring that sense of individuality that you're still working on towards your social life. And then Mercury is retrograding, so it's bringing all these opportunities for you. But remember, it's an opposition. It's hard. Yeah, you're gonna have to be very wise on handling your own Jupiter energies while learning how to mitigate these people you're gonna be communicating with in your social life. Mercury and Libra retrograde. And the opposition is that
Mm-hmm.
it rules by
Mm-hmm.
the Saturn energy, so it deals with restriction, control, even karma and things of that nature. This is where you might learn major lessons. So don't let the retrograde like fuck up your long term goals.
And then you'll be in a position where maybe you're even looking at your relationships and blaming them for preventing you from fully expressing yourself, from you reaching your potential, from you expanding in the ways that you would visualize, the ways that you know you could. And you don't want to get into that space. A lot of spiritual people get into that space talking about cutting off their friends and all of this other type of shit, all of that flunked out type of shit. Listen, if you have a friend who doesn't want to talk to you about spirituality, but you're already at the point where you'll call the nigga a friend, drop that shit. You have other friends that you can talk about that shit with. You have your goddamn self that you can talk about. That doesn't mean that you need to cut that person off because they're not adopting those mentalities. And you're not saying that's just an example of the dynamic of that alignment where they don't have to oppose your expansion of self, but you're gonna have to play out with your relationships dynamics to see those ways, but it's not always the other person's fault. It's in the way that you managed it. So this opposition is showing you that lesson. It's showing you because it may really feel like you having to think about and consider and conversate based off of other people's to placate to other people, and it's really holding you back from expressing yourself. You don't want to get into the blame game or the pointing the fingers, whether it be at yourself or at your friends. You need to find a way to balance this. You need to find it, and it's not about cutting them off necessarily. And it depends on the situation that you're in that caused it. It's more about balancing. It's more about balancing and making sure that there's still room for you to operate as an individual, and still room for you to compromise to a degree with your relationships. Not cutting niggas off. Remember, it's retrograde too. I don't know about just cutting niggas off like that, even though it may feel that frustration.
It's Jupiter and Mercury, so it's dealing with your experiences and then your way of thinking about your experiences. So it's gonna be like highly like mental and shit like that.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. This day seems highly mental, bro. Like, like Virgo. We're talking about Gemini, Libra, Aries.
Aquarius,
It's highly
nervous system.
cerebral type
Exactly.
energy. So be aware of, and then that makes sense post full moon, and it's full moon in Pisces. So we don't know what the fuck was going on. It's where you're being hit with all of these influences. Now we're kind of starting to assess and piece it all together after in all the different areas of our
Like a
lives.
lot of people,
And then
like the full moon in Pisces would bring a sense of like lethargic energy because when you spend a lot of energy into dreams, illusion, imaginations, getting lost without using your physical body, it's almost like it gets weakened. You feel the sense of lethargic, especially during this full moon. A lot of people felt that, especially we've been putting this work during Virgo season and things of that nature. So yeah.
absolutely, because Pisces, you kind of get tripped up because you think a lot of the times that Pisces and more like La La Land type stuff is internal. That's going into the person's internal world. But we don't realize how connected we are to the subconscious in terms of when you go to and dream at night. You will dream of a chair that you've seen in the day. You didn't focus on the chair when you seen it, but it was recorded in your subconscious, and now it's playing a role in your dreams, whereas you didn't consciously think about it. But that's what's playing a role. So a lot of times with Pisces and the imaginations that they have, they are being too external, where they're removing the internal and opening the internal to being the external. If you
That's
get
how.
what I
That's how
mean.
you. That's how.
So I can see how that creating the
And that's how
lethargy.
your skin works because your skin has pores and then your skin has the properties of opening in and then closing ends and then your skin probably deals with things beyond physical things, frequency, vibrations. Like a lot of people already experience this, the skin on their hair standing up randomly, like all these type of experiences.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's crazy. That's crazy. And then looking at the Sun in Virgo making a trine with Pluto in Capricorn. How do you think this
So
hits?
as you're putting all this energy into harvesting and then optimizing this individuality that you've been training and domesticating through understanding Saturn and Aquarius lesson, the trine with Pluto and Capricorn is giving you the energy to take power and control of your business and status since you're seeing the details of what makes up your business and status and the routines that help you stay up there and things of that nature. If Capricorns get into a status For them to maintain that status, they need that Virgo sixth house energy. That's what will create the opportunities to stay there or climb further higher in that corporate ladder, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. Virgo had already made sense out of things in the product and stuff like that for Capricorn to go and, maybe market it or really bring it into the business world and establish the whole thing. For sure.
If Capricorn, they have Virgo, Capricorn would have nothing to sell. It would have the technicians, because like Capricorn
Mm-hmm.
would be like the CEO or the spokesman, essentially.
Yeah.
But Virgo's the technician. He's the one who's
Mm-hmm.
creating the product.
He's actually doing the work. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the sun is going to be opposite Neptune in Pisces.
So we already experienced the full moon in Pisces. You probably realized a lot of stuff that deals with your own subconscious mind and how you could probably correlate it into your daily routines and habits, and maybe understand how you did uh, what you did to yourself. Because Pisces deal with the house of undoing, because you have to undo what you did to yourself subconsciously. But during the sun in Virgo, you don't want to be too judgmental, too cynical about these dreams, illusions, imaginations that you having been having
Mm-hmm.
faith in for a while, and you just want to learn how to control this, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. It being like like a rehash of that your full moon
Yeah.
energy, where it may get a little bit more external, where the moon may have made it, a little bit more an internal response. Maybe now you're starting to see the more external influences that are playing the role into your belief systems and your imaginations, and Virgo's helping to expose that and make sense out of it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then Venus and Virgo making a trine with the North and Node and Uranus in
So
Taurus.
obviously,
How
as
do you
the
think
sun
that?
going through Virgo, this is you becoming aware of that area of life, and then since Venus deal with your like your hormonal system, and your hormonal system deal with stability, you can say Venus around stabilizing all these routines, patterns, and then learning how to add a sense of love, appreciations, even relationship towards it and things of that nature. And that's that love towards your work and routines that will create the opportunity for you to not to be so scared, not to be so worried, not to be so nervous about what's happening with Uranus and North Node. They're retrograde, and then you being presented all these opportunities that might push you back on that individual that you want to develop, because retrograde, these are like the retrogrades put you in that position to see whether you want to be here for long term, because the retrograde, they really think they test you. Retrograde with generational planets, powerful, and things of that nature. Even Mercury too, like Mercury, man, Mercury will overthrow you if you keep up with Mercury retrogrades, because it's gonna throw you mentally.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. And that is looking at Monday. So again, a very cerebral day. Very cerebral, very influential after coming off of this new moon. So really try to extract the most wisdom and knowledge you can out of this information without becoming overwhelmed, without letting it go too much into your head, becoming too disconnected from your body. The sun is still in Virgo, so don't become too disconnected from your body. Try and find some way to ground this information physically, whether it be through exercise, well, whatever method that you have of doing it. Try and ground the information that you're receiving from this full moon into something physical, so that you can look at it and make sense out of it, instead of it being in the air and being all cerebral and mental. And that's Monday. Looking at Tuesday, the 13th of September, the moon is going to make a trine with Venus in Virgo, which is kind of like with the North Node and Uranus and Taurus. But how's that trine playing out?
So the moon in Taurus is obviously the moon is exalted here, making us emotionally
Mm-hmm.
react towards our physical world. But right now, we emotionally react to our physical world because we want to ground all that energy that we give birth to through our brain and nervous system based upon what we seen in our subconscious mind during the full moon and Pisces. So right now, moon in Taurus, trining Venus and Virgo. This is that heavy emotional reaction towards the physical world is creating the opportunity for us to really, even though Venus falls here in Virgo, this is Venus falling in Virgo. It's good because it forces you to love work, and work is something a lot of people could do for a long time. This is why it deals with the opposition to Neptune. And Neptune deals with karma, and then Pisces, the 12th house. Like a lot of work that people do lead to some things that builds up in their subconscious mind, which could lead some sort of destruction and things of that nature. Like a lot of people work, like they work for magic squares and then shadow governments, and then a lot of people work gets people killed. That's why work, and that's why Virgo deals with like self service, your own form of service. Okay, which is a very important
Mm-hmm.
concept. So obviously, the moon in Taurus right now, it was gonna create for you the opportunities for you to love your status because your emotions are hiding, and then Venus is debilitated here, so you got no choice but to really because you emotionally react heavy towards the world, and you're like, if I react heavy towards the world, that means I gotta do something related to work. And then if Virgo is the technician, then Virgo likes consistent supply. That's Taurus, and then that's the moon. That's our emotion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's like the moon is giving Venus that extra boost to work, to make sense out of things, to be a better analysis. Even though that this isn't, the type of medium that she goes to, but the moon is reminding um, us on how much we want that stability, on how much we want that resource, and how much we want that to feel that certain way. The financial security, the sensuality um, of a physical experience. We're being reminded of how much emotionally we want that, which is helping us. Okay, okay, yeah. I have to work, Okay, okay, I'm gonna go and work. Okay, I'm gonna go and balance out my day-to-day schedule and all of that because I really want that. I'm really attached to that. All of my emotions are really onto this physical, onto the product, onto the finances, the money. So, all right, you know what? I'm gonna roll up my sleeves and do this analyzing and make sense out of this aspect so that it can be done. So it's a great roll up the sleeves energy on Tuesday. To really get what you want, to have the emotional connection to that'll allow you to value the work that you're doing because you know what it's going to lead to. And then the moon in Taurus is going to make it in conjunction with Mercury in Libra, um, while Mercury in Libra is opposing the South Node.
So you wanna be careful because as you're heavily emotionally reacting towards your physical world, and you're being heightened towards creating opportunity to pay attention and love your work, your routine. Mercury in Libra retrograde is bringing all form of conversation when it comes to your marriages, relationships, which could distract you since you're emotionally heavily invested towards the building structures. And a lot of people don't understand how Tauruses are so deeply into what they value, because if you look at the
Mm-hmm.
building and how a building is created, is the accumulation of multiple substance and things of that nature built over time. So Tauruses are consistently attached towards physical things. So as your people can try to communicate you about the light-hearted aspect of Venus communication relationship, it's almost like you don't want to listen because you're emotionally attached towards physical things. So you want to be careful controlling that energy right there, because people
Mm-hmm.
might
Mm-hmm.
trick you from your resources and things of that nature.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Or utilize you wanting specific resources for whatever the hell they got going on. And because your mind's oriented around relationships and creating balance, you definitely might slip up in there, and you're right, it would serve as a distraction. So don't let that Mercury retrograde energy, kind of throw you off. Don't let that in conjunction throw you off from um, placing your emotions onto the physical things that is allowing you to go and roll up your sleeves, because now your relationships or aspect of you trying to accommodate for them is going to slow you down, slow the work that down that you're going to do, or maybe you're going to do it for them, or whatever it may be. Just know that the energy right now is really primed for work, real work to get done, real consistent work that you can emotionally attach yourself to. So all distractions really should be really put in check.
Hmm.
And then yeah, Mercury is opposing the South Node in
So
Scorpio.
uh,
Wait,
no, it's the moon in
no,
Taurus.
the Moon is
Yeah, yeah. So
mm,
obviously we've been dealing with the South Node for a long time in Scorpio, dealing with our vulnerabilities, and like the more you go through the South Node in Scorpio, especially with the moon, when the moon goes there and then conjuncted, we really get to realize how much vulnerable we are, how much vulnerabilities hold us back
mm-hmm,
from gaining material and like tradition and stability. Because if you don't have like emotional stability, like you would never have like
absolutely.
physical stability and things of that nature.
For sure, it may really expose you to self worth complexes that you may have, and what's preventing you from feeling worthy. Why you deserve that. Certain insecurities or past experiences that had and deep seated emotions that you have that's preventing you from feeling like you're worth having that resource, that you're worth the stability, that you're worth, that sensuality, that pleasurable experience. So that may be something that really comes to the surface that you're gonna have to battle with on Tuesday. Knowing that you're worth that experience, as long as you're willing to put the work in, you're worth it all. You're worth it all. So that's Tuesday. Um, Looking at Wednesday, the 14th, the moon is making that conjunction with the North Node and Uranus and Taurus.
So the
How do you think that's playing out?
every time we get hit this conjunction with the Uranus and the North Node, we always get reminded of the lack of stability that we have while our emotions exalted towards our physical body and like the physical world. So it's a weird. It's like your emotion reacting to what to desiring something physical, but then Uranus is coming in and then like creating a sudden change, so you can't connect to what you want physically, which force you to create something new and original to connect to physically, which is why the North Node is there, and then the Moon conjuncting, boosting you, boosting your power and hiding your awareness to go towards these things and develop stability there. Like Uranus in Taurus, Uranus is debilitated there. So from a Taurus perspective, you try to understand how can I incorporate this new, unique, original energy, which could play out as crypto, astrology,
Mm-hmm.
stocks, anything. It has to do with your own individuality and how you want to be unique and original, and how can you cooperate towards tradition, what's old and stable. It's a very hard concept to make what's unstable stable, which is what
Mm-hmm.
Aquarius deal with all the time since they rule by Saturn structure, and then there's a structure what their thoughts about what's unique and original, and deals with sudden changes. So it's almost like a dilemma that square between Taurus and then Aquarius.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And but Taurus energy is really about working with what's there. Like not a lot of new energy, but working with what was there, just like what you're talking about, tradition and values. So as Uranus is creating this instability in this high energy type arena in the area of stability and attaching to things, it's like while the old values are changing, it's you can't really see the new values. You're gonna have to create those. You're gonna have to make those, but you don't know if they're valuable yet. If you get what I mean. So it's putting you into this new type area. And then Uranus is very cerebral, like a higher octave of Mercury. So while it's trying to be, the moon in Taurus is trying to be physical, and it's making you emotionally attached to value and things that make sense. Uranus is also maybe even showing you the new ideas while it's making things unstable. So it's making this primed for you to understand value at a higher octave, at a higher level, where which is good, because a lot of times with Taurus energy we get lost. Like you would, the Taurus is going to want a house. Don't realize they don't want the house. They want the security and comforts that the house provides. So while you, the energy in Taurus, we're all valuing specific things. We're all valuing the job. Oh, you want to be a lawyer? We all value lawyers. We all value this, that, and the third. This job, but now Uranus is exposing. Oh, it's not really even stable to be a lawyer. Oh, law is a bunch of vomit and a whole bunch of other shit that you're gonna have to go and cheat people and all this. But what other energy? Oh, I wanted to help and defend people. Maybe I can go into this lane where it's the same energy that I was looking at for a lawyer, and it provides me the same stability, but now I don't have to do it with that type of baggage. Oh, thanks Uranus for shaking things up to make me think more of an as an individual, to make me think more revolutionary and more new. So I'm not stuck on the old traditional way that may be what's changing and switching up, but I can see the new representation of this energy. Yeah, and that's how Wednesday is looking. So you may get these new ideas and new individual ways of revolutionizing how you've been getting stability in your life, of your resources, of what they actually represent, how they can actually be used, instead of what they have been in the past. So yeah, Wednesday, that's Wednesday. Looking at Thursday, the 15th, the moon is in early Gemini now, making a sextile to Chiron and Jupiter in Aries. How do you think this is
So
playing
right
out?
now your emotion is, you're emotionally feeling the energy of being flexible, adaptable when it comes to communication, analyzation about ideas and ways of communicating. That's how you're emotionally reacting, and that's allowing you to see the opportunity with how to go about Carrion and Jupiter in Aries. That's almost like you learning how to correlate your brain and nervous system and your respiratory system at the same time, so you could say things that well put together. This is you putting two body parts together and things of that nature. And then the trying to Mercury and Libra is kind of through your, the way your emotion react towards being flexible is allowing you to know how to approach Jupiter and Chiron in Aries to circulate that individualistic energy, which is also been created opportunity through the trine with Mercury and Libra, because Gemini is gonna get you talking to whoever, and then Mercury and Libra is creating that opportunity for you for a relationship to come in or something like that. It's just the moon in Gemini is giving you that ability to be so open with it, and then you could deal with Jupiter and Aries much more better than Mercury and Libra. So that's the sextile, and then with the moon in Gemini trying to Mercury and Libra, that's way more better than the opposition towards Mercury and Libra and then Jupiter and Aries.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I get what you mean in terms of that battle, how it's creating ease in the two different areas. How the Gemini, you're emotionally, you're wanting diversity, stability, new, fresh perspectives and ways of thinking about things. And while Mercury is in Libra, your mental world is around your relationships. So it's like all of these new ideas and the desire for versatility will lead you to thinking about relationships in a certain way. But it's also going to think about lead you to expanding yourself and your individual expression, your faith and belief that you have in yourself in a specific way. But look at the nature of the sextile and the trine. It's going to be easier to divert that energy of the new, the versatile, and being quick on the feet, the witty, and express that in your relationships because it's a trine with Mercury and Libra. Whereas the sextile with Chiron and Jupiter is an opportunity, something that you have to take, something that you are going to have to see and witness and make that leap to go and do. Whereas the trine, air to air, is air to fire, requires a little bit more energy, whereas the opportunity is there for it to exist, but it requires that little bit more energy. So on Thursday, you may see, you're open to all these new ideas and these new perspectives of these flood of ideas are coming in. um Try and direct at least some of that energy into expanding and bringing more faith into yourself, expanding how you think that you are, expanding the journey of learning yourself, learning about your desires, and less into just your relationships. Whereas you can still experience the benefits of putting that energy towards your relationships, but don't miss out on the opportunity that that versatility can add to you on an individual level. And because Chiron is here, it can be very healing to the individual aspect, to the aspects of individual expression, and you being in your own desires that kind of need healing. So there's a whole opportunity to heal yourself as an individual, and not just divert it to some type of social matter. You really want to take advantage of that while that energy is there and present. And that's how Thursday's looking. Looking at Friday, the moon in Gemini is making a conjunction with Mars in Gemini now, while squaring the sun in Virgo. So how do you think this is going to
So
play
the
out?
moon, your emotion conjuncting Mars, is gonna heighten your will and desires to communicate and gain more information for the sake of obviously education. This is why even Gemini's talk. That's even the original reason is to gain information. Even though you guys might hate them,
Mm-hmm.
diss them, and things of that nature. They try to gain information, and that's the quality why people end up liking them either way, which is kind of fucked up. And then
And they have leverage, informational leverage because of that.
you have to talk to the Gemini at the same time that you don't want to talk to him, which is a crazy concept. And then so right now having the moon
Yep.
conjuncting Mars hiding our emotions towards communicating, even make us a little bit aggressive about communicating, adding more emotions and things of that nature. But it squares the sun in Virgo, so the sun is making us harvest, optimize all these routines that we need to do to work on our individuality that we've been developing in Leo season. But that square between Mars and Virgo, and then the Sun and Virgo, it's almost like Mars is gonna help you gain more information. So Virgo could expand on what it harvested already, and vice versa. Because like Sun and Virgo will help Mars and Gemini to practicalize what's communicating, not to be so communicative, so reckless with its words that squares almost like having the constant tension on you based upon what you've been working on so far. So like this is a person that knows how to communicate and learn based upon what he learned so far. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is really weird energy, that whole desire to just chat, to chatty, and it may even lead to aggressive conversations since Mars is there, where I see debating, and people are way more easier to go out and debate with another person on this day on Friday, to go and be more argumentative and to entertain certain ideas and conversations a lot more easier. And then that square with Virgo is like, yo, you can go all you want with that information, and then you'll collect a whole bunch of information, just like with. But does any of that information make any sense? Does any of that information work towards something? When you're arguing about that to that person, that's something that you even fucking care about, or is it just information that you had, and because they had said something that contrasted the information, you went and butted heads? That's a lot of energy, and if you're utilizing it like that, you're gonna experience more of that drain, that mental drain, more of the square where it's overwhelming, and my mind can't handle all of this because of all of the information that you're entertaining by being chatty. Understand that that chatty energy is there and it can be utilized. Now you're having an argument, and you're actually taking it's about something that you could really take information from, that you can really go and then practicalize, even if it's in that argumentative space, even if you're in that chatty space where it's light talk. Having more understanding that you're collecting information, just like what you're saying. It's that lack of understanding that Gemini is collecting information because it's just chatting. Oh, you think this person is just having mindless chatter? Then the Gemini goes and repeats what you had said to them, and you're like, "Oh shit, I didn't even realize your ass is listening. I didn't even know you knew that. I just said it." And then they go and bring it up, but you see how that potential for having that utilization, that beneficial way, instead of it just being fodder and air. That's what that square is really going to present and push to you, where you can really utilize this. Even when you're hit with the overwhelming energy of like, oh, this is a lot to make sense out of. That's your cue to be like, you were entertaining a lot of bullshit. You were getting a lot of information that you can't really use too much with. Because if it was valuable information, Virgo would be like, okay, how can you do this with that? Okay, I can do that with that. If you're not, if you're getting information and you're not, okay, I can do this with it, then you're probably in the wrong arena, or you probably need to not analyze that information as much as you think you might, or as much as the situation's dictating you to. You might not need to, or it's not going to lead to anything. So that's how Friday's looking. Looking at Saturday, the moon is on that cusp with Gemini Cancer, making a trine to Saturn in Aquarius. How do you think that's hitting us on the 17th Saturday?
So, based upon we're emotionally reacting to all these informations and ways of analyzing and communicating right now, but the cusp to Cancer is adding that emotional intensity to what you were thinking about, because we believe all these thoughts that I'm gathered at some point they're supposed to give some form of home, some form of comfort zone. It's supposed to lead somewhere. Eventually, that cloud that I see could lead me somewhere, and things of that nature. But that's trying to sign up. Whereas this is reminding you, as you're communicating, as you being two-faced, which is not bad. Being two-faced is not bad. You could utilize Gemini energy in the most powerful way possible to get information when it's needed to keep yourself detached instead of so emotionally detached to people. That's the little bit of this. If you understand how to separate Cancer and then Gemini, but they're so close together, it's hard to emotionally separate from people within your immediate surroundings. So that's gonna be like a
Mm-hmm.
major theme. And then Saturn Aquarius demanding Moon and Gemini, hey, please do please keep some form of structure when it comes to your way of thinking. They're gonna help the formation of society to progress in reality instead of being so childish with the Moon in Gemini, especially with cosmic Cancer too. This is you wanting to be more childish, but Saturn is being grounded and make sure you take responsibility. And then obviously you have the square to the sun in Virgo. uh Obviously, like we already talked about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I get exactly what you mean because Gemini makes you versatile. It makes you really explore and be on your toes. It can handle certain things for sure. Saturn and Aquarius would be like, oh, you're versatile. Oh, you're a blank slate. Oh, you're kind of childlike and all of that. That could go into this area. You could be reckless with it, or you can come and listen to me, my nigga, and I'll build you up. You can go and be something. We can go and use this information and be like, what did that nigga say? Oh, come bring that to us. We can bring structure around there. And we'll go and get that nigga after. Yeah, type of energy where it's all versatile and can be used in multiple different ways. That's why having that versatile conversation, where Gemini's, they can talk to anybody. So they're gonna find the associate. They're gonna be able to get into the Aquarius association thing where they can really build with people, even if it was maybe they could connect with certain ideas, but not. They're gonna find the most practical situation because they're the most open to the conversation. So that shrine, that's how that works, where you find that group of people, where you find the information, where you find the people associating and building upon something because you were willing to have the conversation. Um, where I see that playing a big emphasis on there. And then yeah, um, yeah, and then the moon in conjunct south node. I feel like we talked about that somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, yeah, that's how Saturday's looking. A real um, chance to use that versatility in your communicative aspects to help you build up your how your role is playing out in society and how you extract knowledge from society and associate with society. The causes that you go and support within society, you start seeing that through that communicative aspect. Mars being there too. Um, Adding to the catalytic, starting new relationships or finding that the solutions really going to help you um, um, find the cause that you want to be a part of, for you to associate with people that are moving in a forward progression in the way that you want to go. But you're going to have to bring some words to it. You're going to have to communicate that aspect in some degree, or otherwise you're not going to connect with that authority figure. Since we're talking about Saturn, you're not going to connect with that official group, or it's not going to feel serious. It's not going to feel like it can build towards something until you have that conversation. So really look out for that conversation on Saturday, where you can utilize that versatility, that curious mind into something that is serious, that childlike energy into something that's serious. And that is Saturday. Looking at Sunday now, the 18th of September. So yeah, Moon conjunct Lilith in Cancer. So, how do you think this energy is going to hit us all?
So as you're emotionally reacting to initiating feelings and ways of connecting, creating a comfort zone yourself, you're confronting Lilith, your most embarrassing moment. You're trying to understand more about your intuition, uh, things that you keep hidden behind the scene, dealing with your ways of gaining comfort. It's almost like you're becoming more subconsciously aware of what truly makes you comfortable, which is good, especially coming from the full moon and Pisces. This heightens your almost like your psychic sensitivity, and the moon in
Mm-hmm.
Cancer, the moon rules Cancer. It gives you that powerful, almost like emotional connection, like what makes you feel emotionally uncomfortable, which prevent you from chasing your dreams and illusions and imagination. Neptune and Pisces, since the moon is gonna travel deeper into Cancer and it's gonna create a trine with Neptune and Pisces retrograde. It's almost like a confirmation with Neptune based upon the full moon and Pisces to see where you are currently based upon how you feel based upon your dreams and illusions.
Facts. Absolute facts. And I bet like the moon and Lilith is gonna create a lot of like emotional awareness, just to like what you were saying too, what makes us comfortable. But it may be like the deeper, darker aspects of it too that we have to pay attention to. Otherwise we might fall victim to Lilith and its influence and get sucked into the deeper, darker, more embarrassing side that we don't want to share about our comforts and our family life and stuff like that. But and then look at how it's making a square with Jupiter and Chiron and Aries.
Oh,
It's making a
that's
square with Jupiter and
forcing
Chiron and
you
Aries. Hmm.
It's forcing you to ABC is creating learning opportunity as you're reacting towards your most comfortable moment and you realize these things are holding you back, and that's what's
Yeah.
creating learning opportunity for you to spark that tissue expansion that you need within your brain and nervous system so you can stand up for yourself, while obviously handling Chiron and Aries. But Jupiter is exalted in the archetype of Cancer, so the moon in Cancer might help you handle these experiences that's happening within your brain and nervous system, which is kind of funny since cancer deals with your lymphatic immune system, and that's the same
Hmm.
system that cleans out your body. So you can see how that squares, especially could help you deal with these things, and it's retrograde too. So you're like almost like uh refixing things and going back over certain visions, imagination, neurons, just to make sure that they work well with your heart and lymphatic immune system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And being exposed to all the blocks that is preventing that from happening, with especially with Lilith being there, how that you may have to really confront some, you know, deep aspects or deep attachments to comforts, deep attachments to maybe even self-preservation, and for things to be familiar around you. Jupiter in Aries is not asking for familiarity. It's asking for the new. It's asking for what you can expand into. What can you make? What can you create? So as you're really connecting to the familiarity, you may find aspects of the familiarity, of the comfort that you are so attached to, that you can utilize in order to expand in better ways, or what you need to detach to, or maybe let go of, or try and expand beyond that familiarity, and see that is really holding you back, that you're not really getting any of the fruits that you want from valuing or staying in that spot, giving your emotions into that spot. um yeah, for sure. So that square
And
is
we have
creating a big challenge in that aspect. Mm.
we also have the square towards Mercury and Libra, forcing you to think, communicate, join in, become more communicate about your social life, partnership, identifying with others, which is big for like the Libra mindset. So this is where our mind is, but you're emotionally trying to get comfortable as you're learning that you need to get comfortable with what's new through your brain and nervous system. Jupiter in the Aries, but you want to stay home based upon the moon be ruling there, and then Mercury in Libra retrograde is forcing you, is bringing you all these opportunities to communicate and past relationships, but you sitting at home, you want to sit at home, want to do nothing, which is, but these are the learning opportunities that you have to go through as you obviously you're confronting Pluto and Capricorn, wanting you to have a desire to take power and control of your own business and status so you can stand in your own skeleton system, your own knees, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to dealing with everybody else when it comes to the physical world. If you can develop your own frame, strength to stand in your own when it comes to the corporate structure, you're gonna be done for it. And
Yeah.
all the people who did not put heavy energy into like education when it comes to how to become a part of a corporation or create your own corporation, since we live in a world created by corporations, and you guys hear about umbrella corporations hiding other corporations, but it's all one big corporation. And Pluto and Capricorn is like, you take your power and control from these corporations, stand on your own, you got your own needs, I give you your own needs.
And legit, and understanding the role that you play. This is why the discussion of sovereignty is coming up and being so hard of a topic. And we're really starting to understand the role that we are playing in society, and that society is a company, that it is run like that. The country is a company. So you're seeing different aspects of that being managed, and how you can best um, operate within that system without it collapsing you. Because now you're starting to understand that, okay, so if this is a company, and I'm an employee, or I have a role, or a role and position as taxpayer into this, how can I operate in the best way possible? How can they operate in terms of ways that affect me, so I can best coincide, or be an integral part of the company that is going on. I'm not doing the grunge work, so that my role is being appreciated within this company, which is the country, which is society, and in general, and just like how it is organized in that aspect. So yeah, for sure. And look at the discussions that are going on right now. People are really more aware of that, because they want to have power and control over how their life is structured and how they get to interact with society. So now they're coming to all of these different ideas and conclusions to better see society and how they are enacting in it. And then Pluto is like a higher octave of the moon too. So it's like the moon on steroids. So it's very sensitive
Uh,
topics. Hmm.
I agree with that. That's actually that's scary, and but it's actually needed, which creates survival mechanism at the deepest aspect of our core. Oh, this is why Capricorn oppose cancers. Oh, that
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense.
Hmm. Hmm. And what that opposition is happening too. So with the moon in Cancer, uh, but this time it's in Virgo season. So it's going to be taking the place as making sense out of our feelings towards comfortability, our feelings towards familiarity, and that's really causing us to adjust how we approach Pluto and Capricorn for sure. Whereas the moon's really sensitive right now. Now the moon's being exposed to how sensitive it really can be. So it's like I bet it's gonna be like a wake up call, especially with the Lilith type aspect being there, where you feel a tug pulling you back into familiarity, even though you know what's most logical or what you need to do right now is, get more practical. You feel a tug back to familiarity and comfortability. And it's really important for you to understand where that tug is coming from. Otherwise, Pluto and Capricorn is just gonna do more of that smothering action and take power and control over the practical side of your life.
So you could use the Sun in Virgo as a midpoint between where the Moon is and where Pluto in Capricorn, because Pluto in Capricorn will fuck with the Sun in Virgo because it's a practical and things of that nature. But it's hard for Moon in Cancer, but through Virgo could deal with it much more better as long as the Moon in Cancer is willing to work with the Sun in Virgo. But they're
Yeah,
much more closer, so like a better they could work together.
yeah, yeah. Creating that bridge for it all to work out. Absolutely, absolutely. And then you have Venus and Virgo making a sextile to the moon in Cancer. How do you think that'll play out?
So as you're emotionally reacting towards comfort zone, and you're getting tested by all these opportunities from Jupiter in Aries wants you to initiate this new pattern, including Capricorn wants to get your shit together, and then Mercury and Libra, yeah, all these people want to talk to you. You see the opportunities that the love and desires that you've been spending energy in when it comes to your routines and pattern could lead into. The moon in Cancer is almost like I feel this way about this Venus and Virgo routine that I'm doing right now, which is optimizing my life and helping me deal with my emotion and the way I express how I feel. So this is like a good sextancy opportunities on how to deal with these things, especially coming from the full moon and Pisces, and then the moon being in Sarulla sign Cancer and then sextiles Virgo. That it's almost like completing the full moon cycle, and then help get the moon being its ruler sign. It's giving Virgo what it needs to digest from an easier lens too, because the moon in Cancer will act as a midway point between Neptune and Pisces, and then uh the Sun in Virgo, the same way like we're speaking about those other alignments.
Yeah, with Venus and Virgo and the Virgo energy to Capricorn, how it's helping out the moon with that. For sure. For sure. And I feel like the more clarity we have on the moon, the more clarity we have on our emotion, the more Venus can operate on a high level without getting flunked out and overindulging and stuff like that. Because Venus is the exchange of these emotions. So with more of the emotional clarity, you can just you're less flunked out. AKA it plays out, the more emotional clarity, the better purchases you make, the better relationships you get into, and the more better, feelings and emotions you attach to work and stuff like that. You don't maybe not go to work miserable, even if you hate it. You go to work happy as a duck because you know that you're fucking working towards not having to do what you want to do, what you don't want to do, or working towards what you want to do, so you can go and approach things with a happier mindset because you know where they're leading to. So that emotional clarity is going to help your finances. It's going to help your relationships. It's going to help you approach work in a more pleasurable way. Find more pleasurable work. So the first step to all of that is emotional clarity.
Hmm.
Hmm. And yeah, guys, that's the week. How the week is looking. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe the video if you fucked with it. Um, check out our Instagram, TrueSpace underscore. Check out our website, TrueSpace.biz. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Hmm. Thank you guys for listening.
Hmm. Peace out, guys.